Gonna come out. All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome to the Eddie Live Show, episode 289. I'm here with the Montessori man, Matt Bronsel, among many other things, right?
Many other things.
Many
we can dig
other
into those
things
as well later.
Yes, we definitely can, man. How's life, brother?
Life's
Good?
doing great. Yeah, it's been busy. I'm on vacation this week, so got to come up here. I'm heading to Pattaya tomorrow morning to visit some friends. And,
Beautiful. Oh,
yeah,
didn't know that.
Yeah, some friends from Taiwan just moved to Pattaya. So
Okay.
Gonna visit them for a few days and come back. And
So you're staying in Taipei tonight, or are you going back to Taiwan?
I was gonna stay in Taipei. I'll be honest, I'm a procrastinator among other things.
Gotcha.
So I didn't really pack, and I'm like, I might as well just go back today and go up to the airport tomorrow morning.
Hilarious.
So,
That's hilarious. Oh my God. You're lucky you're not a married man. You get your balls busted for that one, man. Shoot. Yeah. I can already hear it.
Yep.
Thanks for making the trip, man.
Thank you,
Before
man.
we start, cheers. Salud.
All right.
We'll get a refill here in a sec.
Sounds good.
All right, man. So let's start with obviously the beginning of, what brought you to Taiwan. That's everybody's, number one question always.
Well, my mom was she was director of the Xavier University education program for the Montessori program.
Okay.
And years ago, she had people contact her from Taiwan, wanted to get their master's degree, so they came over. Then someone wanted to start a teacher training program here.
Okay.
And that person saw me in my classroom working and invited me to come. And I was like, I'll go for 1 year. And that was back in 2006. I was like, I'll stay for one more year. It's easier than packing up and leaving. And it kind of snowballed into almost 19 years now.
Yes. And what is keeping you here all that time, man? What are the things? Let's say top three things keeping you in Taiwan.
Top three things.
Let's make a clip out of that.
Yeah. Top three things keeping me in Taiwan. I think number one, I love it here because I'm known as the person that does Montessori and foreign language teaching.
Okay.
It wasn't a big thing. Not that I started it. I mean, it kind of grew organically, but I was the main one known for it. And so around here, I'm able to go around different parts of Asia.
Okay.
And either do workshops or I get invited conferences.
Really?
And it's just interesting to be that person that's kind of known in China and Malaysia. I've been to China. I've been to China many times. Malaysia. I was supposed to go to the Philippines right before COVID and teaching a workshop, but that kind of set things astray, of course.
Okay, awesome, man. We don't say China here, man.
Yeah. Well,
no, it's funny.
We say it as a different country, right?
No, it's funny because anytime the word comes up,
right?
If I make a clip out of it, it's just like this humongous argument of who belongs to who, and then you're like, "Hey, we're just chatting, take it easy." It's ridiculous. Yeah.
I got my own opinions, but we keep that separate from the Montessori stuff.
Probably keep that a little separate here, but yeah. And the original reason was to come for that. Okay, and then you came for 1 to 2 years.
Yeah.
And then you're like, just kept staying.
Kept staying. Yeah.
Now
my friend Adrian,
okay.
When he was asked what his favorite thing is about being in Taiwan, he's like, "Well, I guess it's like paying taxes and going to the doctor," because they're compared to America, they're both extremely cheap. So the life here, the convenience here, it's fantastic.
It's funny because speaking of the doctor, I actually had this. Ooh, my daughter's next to me. I actually had this. I know, not funny, but this little growth thing had to get removed, right?
Right.
And you had to go and set it all up and get the appointment, blah blah blah, and you go in. Move this to here, and then you go in and. You get it done, and you're waiting for an hour. You go in, they do all the surgery and the stitches and blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay, I'm not sure what it's gonna. This was like last week, and I go in there, and I'm just like, okay, cool. So I go to pay. I have like a few thousand or like 5,000 because I don't know what it's gonna cost. Nobody knows. When you ask them, nobody knows, right?
Exactly.
So I'm go, okay, pay. How much is it? No, 480 NT.
Yeah, you're like, all right.
480. What for surgery? Okay. Cool.
Yeah. I went to the emergency room one time. I just forgot my medical card.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Oh, yeah, I got an X-ray and everything, and it was 1,000 NT."
It's crazy, right?
They're like, "If you come back, we could give you like $500 back." And I'm like, "I don't want to make a trip all the way back to the hospital for 500 NT."
That's crazy. That's crazy, man. So the main topic we want to talk about today, obviously, is the Montessori, right?
Correct. Yes.
It's the style of teaching. I had a few people ask me actually, when I was setting this up, people, when I posted, they were like, "What is that?" And I'm like, "Well, we're going to find out."
We're going to find out.
I did a little bit of research on it, and I think I know a little bit about it. But if someone goes to you and says, "What is Montessori?"
Yeah. Well, how much time do we have?
Well, we got time. We got time.
We got time.
We got time. We got time.
I'll still give you the elevator version.
Let's do it.
Well, Montessori started in her first school was in 1907.
So this is a person named
Maria
after a person.
Yeah, it's named after Maria Montessori. She was one of Italy's first female medical doctors.
Okay.
And she actually started off working in a sort of an asylum where they just sort of sent they called them deficient children. It's a horrible term today, but that's what they used back then. But they would. She actually got these children were considered unteachable.
Okay.
And just she ended up teaching them stuff, and she got them to the point where she actually had them take the state exam, the state test.
It's like one of those movies, man.
Yeah,
like to take the basketball team that nobody wants. Right?
Nobody wants.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Sent the results in, and they ended up passing. And she was like, "Well, if this can happen with these children, it can go with other children that don't have these issues." So she had a chance to open up her own school for 3 to 6 year old children.
Okay.
Called it the Casa dei Bambini, which means the house of childhood, and brought them in and had a bunch of materials made for them, and focused a lot on sense training. And they basically just became these children who were kind of left alone in the ghetto to destroy the housing projects they were in.
Gotcha.
And ended up becoming these, peaceful members of this little community that she had built for them.
That's amazing. Whenever I hear the stories about 20 years ago or 50 or 100 years ago, whatever, and there was these kids that nobody wanted.
Yeah.
I always think I would definitely have been in there if I was in that.
I think
definitely.
I think I would have been too. Yeah.
I would have definitely been the guy nobody wanted. This guy. Fuck. Yeah. Okay, so she started with a small group of kids.
Yeah, it was.
And she did amazing, obviously.
Yeah, and it quickly grew to other schools and then to other countries. But the way I describe it to most people, it's sort of like, imagine probably what most of us consider school. You're sitting there and the teacher's somehow in front and kind of guiding everything. With Montessori, I have materials all throughout the classroom for math, language, social studies, sensorial things, science.
Okay.
The children can select those, take them to a table or rug, work with them, and return it. And the materials themselves actually teach them stuff, which I can get into how that happens a little bit. But so I could have a child over here doing a math work. I could have a child over here doing a language work. I could have a child over there doing a completely different work.
Yep.
And they will all. I could have 30 students in the classroom doing 30 different things, or a few people working together.
Beautiful.
Instead of just the teacher guiding everything. So it's when people talk about child-led education, it's sort of the definition of child-led education.
It should be, right? Kids learning how to play and work together with other kids and actually learning, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to traditional school is tough. I mean, a quick story on that. When my daughter was little, she was a bit nervous about having to go to school and stuff, and I said, no, it's going to be fun. You're going to make some friends. You're going to have a good time. It's going to be a great time. So she was kind of like not wanting to go. Right. And then when she went, I dropped her off. She actually was excited, and I picked her up. She had a half day, right? Picked her up, and I'm like, hey, how was your first day of school? And she looks at me and she's like, you lied to me, Dad.
Sometimes out of the mouths of babes.
5 years old. I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, you said it would be fun, and I'd go around and I get to play with my friends and learn stuff. All we did was sit there. You're not allowed to move. The teachers are talking. You're not allowed to do anything. You just have to sit there and listen. And I'm like, yeah, I forgot to mention that part. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
So like in my classroom, we have a 3-hour work period where they're working from 8 to 11 from the time they come in till it's about time to set up for lunch. They're doing exactly what I just described.
Okay. Yeah.
And it is interesting that even when we think of our regular preschool and kindergarten, I'm from America.
Sure. Canada. America, Canada.
I went to Montessori, but I understand how most preschool and kindergartens work.
Yeah.
The preschool and kindergartens, they're always trying to get the kids to do things together.
Yeah.
And then when they get to elementary school, it's like, oh no, sit in your own desk and do something. Don't talk. Which is kind of the exact opposite of how children play. Like the younger children, they might even be playing together, but they're kind of set. It's just like, I'm playing here, you're playing there.
You guys are way too loud, man. Joe, 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 can you guys? You're super, super loud. I can't hear anything. Thanks.
Oh, sorry about that. Well,
Sorry, man.
yeah.
I'm sorry. No,
That's
no.
okay.
It's because I could only hear that conversation. It's all good.
But like Parton, I think was theory of the play. It's like younger children. They might play with each other, but especially the really young ones, like the 3-4-year-olds. But it might just be like one child's playing here, another child's playing here, and they're
Beautiful.
kind of playing their own thing.
Yep.
But together.
That's
Where
great.
Elementary students, they are working really together. So, but then we do the exact opposite in school. In preschool, we're like, you guys have to work together. And then in elementary, it's like, you guys can't work together. He has to do his work, and you have to do your work.
That's great. It reminds me of when I went to university in my first year of university. I wasn't great in school, but one of my strengths was like English and
Correct. Yeah.
tests or whatever, essays or whatever. And I went into my first English class, and I was just like, okay, this is going to be good. This is one of my strengths. And the first thing the teacher says, he's like, okay, so all that stuff you learned in high school, forget all that. That's wrong. And I'm just like,
what do I do?
I was struggling to learn that. Now I got to learn again from scratch. And I tried really hard, and I got like C- and D's, and just kind of coasted through with like the worst marks ever.
Yeah.
It was rough. First thing he said, I was like, okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Similar situation, I think.
Well, and then it's great because because they have their own unstructured time where the teacher's not really guiding stuff. As like my students get older, they really gravitate towards they're about to go into first grade. They're 5, 6 years old.
Beautiful.
They really actually start to gravitate towards each other and do actual work together. And
this bond that is being built.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And then in elementary school, I was always doing projects with my friends with Montessori elementary school. That was a loud bus out there.
That was.
I heard that one.
I know. I'm going to tell him to close it. Hold on.
Yeah.
Joe, can you close the windows, please? It's way too loud. Thanks. Yeah, so basically, I think that children learn best by playing, and I think like team sports and stuff like that is huge for that. But going into school, I had not the best experience with school, so that's what we were talking earlier about my daughter,
right?
And what we're gonna do with school here, because the school here is quite different,
right?
Yeah. But you're at a Montessori school here, right?
I'm at a Montessori school. I teach 3 to 6 year olds, and actually I'm at one of the few kindergartens that actually has a Bushy-Bond license for under 6.
Okay.
Everyone was always like, it's illegal to teach kindergarten.
It's illegal.
But it generally is. We can't teach in a kindergarten setting. So we have the actual Bushy-Bond license. But yeah, I teach 3 to 6. We're in a pretty small classroom right now. We're building a whole new school. My boss is building a whole new school.
Okay.
So I have 15 students.
That's a nice size.
It's a great size.
Beautiful. Yeah.
And the youngest is not quite 3 yet. She's she's adorable, and our oldest just turned 6. Actually, I think tomorrow is our second oldest's birthday. I know it's this week sometime. I'm gonna have to check on that and wish her happy birthday.
So the kindergarten, that's not an easy thing to teach. It's pretty high energy and stuff.
It
usually,
is,
right?
Yeah.
I'm You're burnt out.
I'm definitely
by far.
not getting younger.
Yeah.
it's definitely but the 3 to 6. There are days where I'm just exhausted at the end of the day. I can't. I'm like, oh, it's 5 o'clock finally. Thank goodness. But like emotionally and like how much I love it, it keeps me going, and I think that's the most.
Yeah, of course, I agree. I think when I first came here, I taught not at a Montessori,
right?
But I taught kindergarten, and that was probably my favorite job ever until now.
Right.
Still now, and I'm the restaurant owner or whatever. But I think that kindergarten was great. And the cool thing about that is a lot of those kids that I taught, I had a class of 6 kids for 2 years.
Okay.
So after those 2 years, these kids were like super fluent and just total like Canadian accent and just like amazing. The parents were happy. The owners were never happy, but that's another story. They were the kids don't like you. I'm like, what are you talking about? The kids like want to move in with me. You're crazy. What are you talking about? And so I had these kids, and we had such a good connection that like once in a while, like once a year or something, some of those kids, they will just come here and
Yeah.
they'll just like surprise me. And they're like 26 now.
Yeah, exactly.
Like they were 5 when I taught them, and now they come in and they're 26, and I'm just like, and they still remember all the stuff that we did,
Right.
which is crazy. And they
Yes.
still remember all the stuff that like I was into at the time, like Star Wars and Han Solo and Spider-Man, and they still love them because that was like that's what we did together. So they love all that stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's so cool. I love that.
Well, yeah, I have students who, I've been doing this even before Taiwan. I've been doing this since 2001, and so like I have students who are now like doctors. I was like, you were 5 years old.
Yeah, that's
I remember
crazy.
when you peed your pants, and now you're a doctor.
That's crazy. Yeah. It's funny because I remember one time, I also coached soccer, right?
Right.
And I remember this one time, this girl, I would say probably like 23, 24, like beautiful girl, like just 10 out of 10, gorgeous girl. She walks in, she runs over to me, she gives me like this massive hug. And I'm kind of like, okay, hi. Do you guys have a reservation? And she's like, oh, you taught me soccer at, this school, Quayshan, and blah, blah, blah. And we used to do this and this. And I'm like, oh. And I kind of look at her face and I thought, oh, shoot. Okay. Yeah, I remember you.
Yeah.
You don't look 8 anymore.
Yeah.
You're 24 now, but it's a very big difference, 8 to 24, right?
Exactly.
So it's kind of like, oh, wow. Okay. Hi. Yeah. Kind of crazy, man. Yeah. So the Montessori is going well there. So how would it, if you were to answer, like how would that different? How does the Montessori system differ from like Taiwanese education system? How does it not? But yeah, here's an hour.
Similarities.
Yeah.
You go to school. I guess we'll start with that.
There you
Similarities.
Similarities is you eat breakfast.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
That's about where that almost ends as far as my experience, at least with people talking about it. I think the hard part about answering the question is when I'm not Taiwanese, I didn't go to the school system.
Sure. Yeah.
So
have you ever had the chance to teach at a school, or were you all straight Montessori from day one?
I mean, I've taught at Bushimans before,
exactly,
and so I'm kind of going off what my students have said, and things like that. One thing, there's the groups are. I was going to bring this up earlier because it tied into something else you said, but that was a good time.
Please do.
The age grouping is different. In Montessori, you traditionally have 3 years together. You have one group for infants, one group for toddlers, and then a 3 to 6 year old group. And then elementary is usually split up between 6 to 9 years old and 9 to 12 years old. Okay, good. We just had no signal for a second on there, but it's back.
We're good. We're good. Yeah.
But then you also have adolescent programs, which are usually junior high and senior high split up. So what's great at that is because the students have experience in the classroom. The students know the materials. The students know what you're teaching. And so like the older students are able to teach the younger students as well, which you don't get. That's amazing. Yeah. I have,
that actually that usually solidifies, like if you know something.
Yeah.
Like for example, when I coached soccer, I was never the great player. I was okay. But when I would have to break down a move or break down something and then teach it to the next person, that's when it really gets like ingrained into you.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
Kids
it's
are
the
similar.
same with the same. Yeah. I mean, I have sometimes a 6-year-old teaching a 3-year-old, how to do, division of 4-digit numbers, and the 3-year-old has no idea what's going on. But
I poo my pants.
Yeah, they're just they're just happy to have that older student teaching them, and they just love that attention from the older kids.
And then the older kid they're usually like the cooler kid because they're the older kid. Oh, the older kid wants to hang out.
Exactly.
Like one of the cool things they do in the local school is then when new kids come in, like in grade 1, the grade 6s will kind of take them around and like be
cool.
like the big brother sister thing for. I think it's only for one day, but that's kind of cool. My daughter, when she was in grade 1, she loved that, and then when she was in grade 6, she was so excited to do it.
Yeah.
And she slept in. I was just like, I told you, you're gonna be late, And she slept in, and she's just like, I don't care anymore. Yeah, but it was pretty funny.
Adolescence. Yeah. Getting into that adolescent age at 6.
And again, talking about the local school. Like right now, she's in junior high, first year junior high. We're gonna finish that, and then we're gonna figure some stuff out. But 7:30 to 4 is her school, and then there's 2 hours of homework, and then there's tests almost every day. So she's got to do tests.
Yeah.
And so it's like yeah, she gets dinner, and then it's like 9.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I got to go to bed. And she's like, well, I'm not tired. I kind of want to unwind. So we'll watch a bit of a movie or something. Then it's 10:30. And then it's too late. Then she goes to bed and she can't get up because she went to bed too late.
Right.
And it's this vicious cycle always.
And homework traditionally doesn't happen in Montessori, even in
Okay.
elementary.
Okay.
What my homework was, like, my friend and I would get interested in a project or something, and
Okay.
we'd want to like build something around that project. So like
Yep.
my brother, he got interested in the Great Chicago Fire, so he researched all about the Great
Beautiful.
Chicago Fire.
Okay.
Got popsicle sticks. They had to eat a ton of popsicles.
Okay.
Like created this
Tough job.
thing of the horrible job. For
I
a
remember those days
child.
of building little whatever things out of the popsicle sticks
Yeah.
back when I was a kid. Okay.
Built a whole model of Chicago, and then
That's awesome.
they burned it down and like brought that in. And
Yes.
yes.
It's just like, yes, fire.
I got into Native Americans and like built the Serpentine Wall because that was a landmark in Ohio where I lived.
Okay.
And so like I built that and painted it and tried to get it as the scale as best I could and things like that. And
Okay.
wrote about that. And also like subjects, I remember like since I was really interested in Native Americans, and especially in Ohio and stuff, I would keep writing about like Tecumseh was my favorite Native American chief. You know,
I have no clue. Okay.
You know,
yeah.
I mean, he was in Ohio that he had the Shawnee tribe. That's about as much as I remember. But
Yeah.
my teacher was able to take that and be like, okay, well, like there was this battle. How many people died in this battle on each
Yep.
side? And then be able to teach me like, circle graphs and bar graphs with that. And then it's like, well, why was it important that the Native Americans stayed here? And it went into like, oh, well, it's right by the river. Okay, well, how did that river form? And then it got into geology and,
That's
the
cool.
glacier moving through. So you could take something the child's interested in. You don't have to be like, here, you have to learn this subject now.
Yeah.
Find some creative way, especially in
times
elementary.
9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Find some creative way to actually get them to want to do either the math or the
Yeah.
the extra work that ties into that somehow.
If you apply it, if I think, well, anyone, if you see it being applied into real life, it's like, oh, okay, like for my daughter,
Yeah.
when she has a little bit of money and she wants to do something, be like, okay, this is what the salary is, this is whatever, blah blah blah. Let's go to McDonald's or whatever you want to buy
Yeah.
something, and then she's kind of like, okay, and she learns how to do the money. When she was now she's fine, she's 13,
She's
but when
older,
she was
yeah.
really
Yeah.
little, but she would kind of like. I'm like, you got to go pay yourself and blah, blah, blah. So she kind of would learn, and then she would learn math like that,
Yeah.
as opposed to like, 9 times 9. What is it? I remember every time I would do something good when I was a kid, my mom would be like, oh, yeah, 9 times 9.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm like, 81.
Yeah.
81. And that was the only one I would remember because she always asked the same thing, right?
Right.
So funny. I was like, nah, 81. Yeah. 9
Well,
times 8. I don't know.
It's a really cool way. Like,
Yeah.
we have quite a few materials that teach that, but one of my favorites, even as a kid, I love this. We have this cabinet full of beads, and it's kind of hard to describe the whole thing, but like for 9 times 9, which is 9 squared, right?
Yeah.
We have a set of 9 beads. They're dark blue, and they're
Okay.
hooked together by a string of metal.
Yeah.
Then that's connected to 9 of those. So you have 9 sets of
Okay.
9.
So you physically can see and touch it.
Yeah. So you're counting to 9, you're putting the 9 thing down, then 18, and you're putting that down to 27, all the way up to 81.
Beautiful.
Then I'll sit with the child and be like, okay, let's read these off: 9, 18, 27, 36, 45, all the way to 81. But
Okay.
I'll turn over. I was like, okay, I'm going to turn over the 9. Now what is it? 9, 18, 27. Okay, I'm going to turn over the 18. Now what is it? 9, 18.
Nice.
And all the way to 81. But then if you take that and you fold it up the right way, it actually makes a square. So
Okay.
that becomes 9 square because 9 times 9 is 81. There's 9 this way, there's 9 that way.
Okay,
And
okay.
it makes a square. We also have the one, you take 9 of those chains and you connect 9 of them together. They could take 9 of those actual squares, stack them on top of each other, and that becomes an actual cube. So 9 cubed is 729. So to think of it off the top of my
Oh,
head.
man. I'm already getting lost here. Yeah.
But it's 9 times 9 times 9. It's 9
Yeah.
this way, 9 that way. So they can actually physically see it and understand it. And then when you get into, like, when people ask me math questions, a lot of times I can actually picture.
You're doing it in your head, the
But I can,
physical thing.
I
Okay.
can picture the physical thing instead of just
Okay.
remembering.
Okay.
Um,
Well, I think, and also everyone learns differently, right? Some people learn
Yeah.
better by writing. Some people learn better by listening. Some
Yeah.
people by speaking, right? Some by teaching.
yeah.
Right?
And what's great is all those works combine all of those things. So it's
That's
not
really cool,
it's not
man.
just learning one way. It's even if it's your best way, it's learning kind of every way with those materials.
That's really cool, man. And you were, let's go a few steps back. You were saying
Okay.
that your family was heavily involved kind
Yeah.
of in education and
Yes.
and all that. Tell me a little about that in Montessori.
Well, yeah, my mom was a nun and my dad was a priest.
Okay, interesting combination.
Yeah, if you ever are like, if everyone's ever like, hey, I know anyone whose mom was a nun and a dad was a priest and he's a ventriloquist, it's like, yeah, I know a guy.
Oh, that guy, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. He
it's
lives in
like,
Taiwan.
Really? What are the odds?
Had him on my podcast. Yeah.
But my mom was my mom was teaching in Rochester, New York, and she needed, she was learning, she found like these
Okay.
first, second graders didn't know basic things like colors or numbers or things like that most children basically know when they
Okay,
get to the first
sure,
grade.
sure.
And so she went to the library, found this book on Montessori, and just was
Really?
like, this is really cool.
She was inspired by a book.
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful.
She got her training. She went to Xavier University because to become a head of a school, you needed a master's degree, and Xavier offered a master's degree in Montessori.
Wow.
My dad, he wasn't ordained a priest yet, but he was studying to become a priest.
was thinking about it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he was a Jesuit
Okay.
novice, which means he hadn't been ordained, but he's
Okay.
pretty much close there. He went to Xavier to get his master's in English, and my parents met and fell in love, and they got into it. But
They're like, well, huh,
exactly, what are we missing out if
What
we
are-
do, if
yeah.
we become this priest and nun?
that's awesome. Yeah.
But they, my dad was a high school English teacher. My mom was doing the Montessori, and one day my dad came home and was like, if I'm going to change education, it's going to be through Montessori.
Okay.
And so,
Wow.
My parents had just gotten married. They're like, all right, well, let's write a check. It'll take a while for us to get pregnant. I just got off the,
Yeah.
got off the pill.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
they
yeah.
wrote a check, sent it in, and it's like, all of a sudden it's like, well, they're pregnant with my older brother. So,
Okay, okay,
My dad,
interesting.
they still went to, they still somehow made it work off of 2 teachers' salaries.
It's crazy how parents were able to do that, man. I mean,
Yeah.
same now. Like my parents they were able to do pretty well with the salaries that they had and stuff. And
Yeah.
then when you think of like things now, it's just like everyone's scraping by these days. But back in the day, you buy a house for 10,000,
Yeah.
and you're like, what? Yeah.
Well, I was talking with one of my
Yeah.
friends, and he got his master's degree at Montessori and Xavier.
Okay.
This was like 10 years ago. I
Okay.
don't know exactly how long ago. But then he was like, you should like go to Xavier and get it. I was like, yeah, but have you seen the tuition? It's now like $45,000 a year. And he's like, what? It was like, he's like, that's that much? I was like, yeah. She pulled it up, and he's like, yeah, I can't even imagine a teacher going to college anymore.
Well, the U.S. is pretty unique for that. Like when I came here, I met obviously lots of Americans and stuff, and I just assumed that because U.S. and Canada, people are going to get pissed. It's pretty much the same. It's almost the same thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty similar, but like, yeah, we have universities. It's somewhat expensive, but when I heard about the tuitions in the U.S. and then when I heard about like healthcare in the U.S.,
Yeah.
it's really good in Canada. It's not quite like Taiwan, but it's similar, And then you hear about that other stuff, and you're like, whoa,
Yep.
crazy.
Yeah.
People working in the hospitals that are like they can't afford to get sick in the hospital. That's crazy.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened or what's going on there, but yeah,
And
yeah.
Speaking of health, I went home to take care of my mom. She died of cancer last
Gotcha.
July.
Okay, sorry to hear that.
Yeah. But it was wonderful to get to see her and see my mom because she was
course.
still like that same positive person and just loved
Awesome.
people. But when my dad got his training, my dad was actually an intern because you have to spend a year being an intern in the classroom with the AMS training. We won't get into the different types of training.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
And there are different organizations that do Montessori
Okay.
training. But he was an intern in my mom's class.
Okay. Oh
And
wow.
when my brother was born, they
They just brought him.
brought him. Yeah, they didn't even ask
Mexican
permission.
style.
Yeah, they were
Yeah,
just like,
yeah.
"Yep, here he is." And it was great because the children got to work. They got to help change them. They got to help feed them. They
They loved that.
yeah, they
too.
got to have turns reading books to him and everything like that. And then
And he had a great time too.
oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And same thing happened with me when I was in the classroom. So
That's awesome, man. That
yeah.
makes sense now. Okay, why? Yeah, the passion for the teaching makes sense. Makes
Yeah.
sense. Yes.
I wanted to be anything but a teacher at first, but I fell into it after 9/11. I was building computers and
Oh, that, I mean, yeah.
all of a sudden, like people stopped ordering computers because no one knew what was going to happen. It's like,
yeah,
gotta find a job. Okay, there's Montessori schools hiring. Let's
crazy. Remember the Y2K thing? You know?
Oh, yeah.
But I always think Y2J. But I know that, but I know it's Y2K. But I always think of Jericho.
Yeah.
But actually, the world.
For those of you that don't know about this, Y2K was a time right before the year 2000. The dates on computers are going to change over, and they like December 31st, 1999, and the computer system for most programs was 12/31/99.
Yeah.
But that was going to change to 00, which would make the computer think it was 1900 and screw everything up. So everyone was worried about everything being Y2K compliant.
Yeah.
I was fixing cars at the time, and we had so many people come in and be like, "Hey, can you make sure my car's Y2K compliant?" And we're like, "You don't need to do that with cars, but maybe for $50, we'll just make sure."
I'll have a quick look.
We never ripped anyone off like that, but it was so tempting at times.
That's so funny. And then of course Y2J.
Yeah.
Jericho. You know, that's what I always think of when I think of Y2K.
Can you see it? You can't see it, can you?
What are we looking at? Yeah, you can grab it if you want.
Yeah, because we're both wrestling. He's got one of the wrestling masks up there.
That's right. Got to have the wrestling mask, man. Love that. Yeah, Y2K, Y2J. Yeah, that's beautiful. So let's talk Montessori. All good. Actually, I have some pictures. I'm going to bring up some pictures here real quick. Yeah.
I haven't seen these yet.
Which is good. This is kind of
I've
like,
seen them. Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, that's my dad and my brother.
That's what I thought. Okay.
My dad's in the middle, obviously.
Yeah.
The gray hair.
Yeah.
But yeah, my dad was a Montessori teacher. He was fantastic. He was as sharp. He was the guy you did not want to play Trivial Pursuit with. You know?
Oh, I know those kind of guys. Yeah.
He just knew everything, and unfortunately got dementia.
Teacher, right?
Yeah. And especially like he taught the elementary and even went into junior high. Like you have to have a vast wealth of knowledge for that.
Smart guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, and my brother, he's still my best friend in the world.
Love it. Has he been out here to visit?
Yeah, he came out. He came out back in 2019 in the summer.
Okay, nice.
And then it was like, yeah, well, told me about my dad getting dementia, and you should come back. It's like, all right, well, let's look forward to, maybe, next Chinese New Year. Well, next week.
Yeah.
And then it's let's wait for the summer, see how things are. And,
COVID was only for 2 weeks.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
then 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks.
And then 2 weeks, yeah. Kind of like how you come here to Taiwan for
2 weeks.
For 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm coming for a year. And then you're like, wait a minute, I'm exotic? What?
Exactly.
How did that happen? Okay, cool, all right. Yeah, and then boom. So what about that picture?
Oh, yeah, because I did, I had a short stint doing announcing for the T1 Basketball League when Dwight Howard first came. Nice. This was one of my students in Shinju.
Cute kid.
And yeah, he became a basketball fan, and I got him into the Formosa Dreamers fan also. Got him into that. So when I did the basketball announcing up in Taoyuan one time, he came up, and I told him I would try and get him a signed autograph of Dwight Howard, basketball.
Gotcha.
I told his mom that. I didn't tell him. I was just like, make sure you find me because I'm gonna try and get. So I couldn't run into Dwight Howard. It was kind of
that's tough. Everyone wanted to run into Dwight Howard.
Everyone wanted to, and I'm the new guy on the block with this announcing thing, and it's like I can't, just go up to him and be like, "Hi, I'm the guy."
It's tough. It's tough. Yeah. I had these boxing gloves. I wanted to get signed by some of the guys at the last one, and I'm like, walked past them so many times, and I'm just like, yeah.
So I did sign the basketball for him. I signed it myself and gave it to him, and he thought it was. I think he thought it was better than Dwight Howard.
Better than Dwight. Dwight who? Let's go.
He was walking through the parking lot, and everyone's like, "Yeah, like where'd you get that?" He's like, "The announcer signed it." And he's like, "He was my teacher. It was awesome." This is an article in Montessori Life. I assume this. Yeah, this is one about my dad. Okay.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
Montessori Life magazine.
Is that you guys in the middle there?
No, those are my nephews. Those are my brother's kids.
Okay.
The one on the left just got his MBA.
Oh wow!
The other one's a junior in college at University of Dayton. So
gotcha.
But they had just won. They won. Actually, it was really cool. They won. I can't remember the name of the award, so I don't want to botch it. But they won an award from the American Montessori Society.
Beautiful.
And so they went to the convention, and it was kind of cool because before, when I would go to conventions in America, people would come up to me, would see my name tag. It's like, "Oh, are you related to Beth and Ken Brunsell?" And I'm like, yeah, they're my parents. And I'd always have to sometimes just hide my tag just to walk around.
You got that spotlight on you. Yeah. You're like, hey, you better be a really good teacher because they were. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I am.
Well, that year they went and someone came up and they're like, "Are you related to Matt Brunsell?" It's like my mom and dad, they were so proud of me. They were like, "Yeah, it was so awesome getting that
beautiful
turn."
Couple more here.
Yeah, I have 2 books out. One
Didn't
is
know that. Okay.
Yeah, one is English as a foreign. It's English as a foreign language in the Montessori classroom. I changed the name. I forgot. Yeah, that's the correct name at this point. But I kept getting asked about it, and finally, it was during COVID. I finally had time to just sit down and finally just do a whole bunch of lesson plans and explain. I really explained Krashen's theory on language development, on teaching foreign language and the Montessori idea, just so it works for someone who doesn't know anything about teaching a foreign language, works for someone who doesn't know anything about Montessori, and is in the classroom, or even not in the classroom. It's still full of like, oh my, I didn't even think of that kind of ideas in there. So,
nice, man. That's cool.
That's one of the 2 books. Check it out on Amazon. Look me up on Amazon.
I'll definitely get me the link and I'll post it. Yeah?
Okay, yeah.
I got 2 more here.
Okay.
Bam. Looks like that's class time, right?
Yeah. Well, that's right before kindergarten graduation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're just up there waiting to go downstairs, and
I remember those times. Those were fun times, man. Yeah.
But yeah, one of the fun things that kids love to do. I only do it out on the playground. I won't do it in the classroom.
Yeah. Too fun.
Excuse me.
That's awesome.
I don't know if that burp came through. But they'll grab my hands. I'll be like 1, 2, 3. They jump. I don't have to that's not me lifting up the kid. That's them jumping, and I'm just moving. Taking their momentum.
Kindergarten's so fun.
Oh yeah,
I love that. Yeah.
They absolutely love that. But that was a really good class. I had that year. I actually, instead of working with a Taiwanese person, I worked with a Canadian in the classroom. She just got her 3 to 6 training. She had adolescent Montessori training before. And so she got her 3 to 6 training, and so she was my intern in my class, and that was one of the most fun years I've ever had teaching.
I bet. I got one more picture. That's the Sim Buller, right?
No, that's Aaron Geramapur. Sim Buller's even taller.
He's even bigger than that. Yeah.
Sim's a big guy. Sim Buller just got
married.
He just got
right?
married, and his Instagram.
Yeah, I saw that
picture.
That's why I brought that up. Okay.
His wife is quite short, but no, Aaron got he had an injury, so he was out for the season. But,
okay.
Yeah, that's the year I worked for T1, and I actually saw him in a restaurant before that, and like walked up and introduced. I just said hi. I just said I'm a big fan of basketball. He's like, all right, cool. But he saw me there at the game with my lanyard, and he was just like, weren't you at Chili's? I was like, yeah. He's like, do you work for T1? And so we struck up a conversation. Really great guy. He was he was in the Olympics for Iran. Really great player. But
really, okay.
Yeah, they used him last year. He was with the Aquas, and then he's not in Taiwan now. I don't know where he's gone on to. So.
How is it? I mean, I know that it's kind of like the foreign guys, they kind of get special rules, like they kind of have really weird rules for the foreign basketball guys here, right?
Well,
how's that?
Well, one thing, their contract could be cut at any time. So, I mean, I've had, I think Dreamer's got someone 2 years, not last year, it was when Coach Kyle was there, but the guy played for like 1 game, and it was just like, it's just not a right fit for our team, And
they're like, get out of here.
Yeah, I mean, it's, but also they do get paid more, so there's that. But as far as both leagues go right now, I don't know about the SBL, but the P League and the TPBL, 2 foreign players could be on the team, on the court at any time.
Okay.
You can have 3 on the roster for the game. And then I don't know if there's a limit. I've lost track of the rules. They've changed so much.
Oh,
I don't know if there's a limit of how many you can have on the team. But you'll have 3 on the game roster, and then 2 can play at a time, and you can substitute them.
Beauty, man, beauty. I'm going to do a quick message from our sponsor. We'll be back in about 30 seconds here, guys. Do you ever wish you had a time machine so you could go back in time and buy up all those tech stocks before they blew up? Well, unfortunately, time travel hasn't been invented yet. We're waiting on you, Elon. But I want to introduce you to the next best thing. Introducing LevelFields.ai. LevelFields.ai uses cutting-edge AI to analyze millions of global financial events, uncovering patterns that often impact stock prices. Whether you're an options trader or a swing trader, LevelFields.ai simplifies the process by showing historical trends and helping you predict what's next. Take the guesswork out of investing. Save time, save money, and transform your trading game in 2025. Visit levelfields.ai now to start trading smarter. All right, we are back. Thank you guys for checking that out. If you guys are looking to up your game for the stocks, check out levelfields.ai. Very, very cool. We got a link in the description below. Next question is Montessori. How does it differ from Taiwan Montessori versus the U.S.?
The U.S. because I've worked in both. So.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking. Yeah.
Well, let me also start with nobody owns the name Montessori, so you could open up a Montessori.
So I can just be like Montessori Mondays at Eddie's Cantina.
You could call this Montessori Cantina if you wanted to, and you sell guns. It's like, what's it have to do with Montessori? Oh,
okay.
We think about the development of this food. He's like, what? What are you talking about?
You got Montessori. We got margaritas. Come on down on Monday night.
You know what?
Bring the kids.
We're gonna start it now. Montessori margaritas deals. Monday nights, Eddie's Cantina.
Let's go. Montessori Monday, baby.
Yes.
Let's go. Yeah. Okay. So okay.
But so like anything, like so, there's that blanket statement that not every school is going to be the same. Before I get into that, even in America.
Sure.
But one of the big things, overall things I've always struggled with, and that we're doing a bunch of talks around the country about Montessori, and one of our focuses is this, where we're my instinct as far as what Montessori is like for most Taiwanese teachers, it almost seems like it is a good, like the math materials are a good way to teach math, or the language materials are a good way to teach language, when really it's about the academic part. It's just one part of the whole development of the child.
Okay.
And focusing on so much more of the development of the ability to focus and the ability to choose work on your own and things like that.
That's cool. Yeah. Like choice. Right?
Yeah.
That's something.
Yeah. The choice is a big thing that I notice that's different here, and where I really try to have that in my classroom. I rarely tell the children what to do unless they're really being disruptive.
You can ask my 5-year-old daughter, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You lied, Dad.
But and building up that choice and building up that confidence and building up that that concentration also is really the main focus, and the materials are really meant for that.
Okay.
And the academic part is one part of the child's development, not the main thing that you're looking for. Where here in Taiwan, they seem to be focused a lot on that being like an academic thing, and getting them ready for first grade and making sure they do the materials in whatever order the teacher thinks is the right way and order and things like that. So it's something I've had great Taiwanese teachers. I've had ones I've really had to struggle to be like, no, this is how we're going to do it in the classroom.
Yeah. I also taught here, not Montessori, but I taught here a while ago, and also I've had some really good teachers, some like you have your Chinese assistant teacher. You've had some really good ones, and I've had some that were just like, I'm like, why are you teaching kids if you hate kids?
Yes.
Why are you here? Because I've had so many that are just like, so bad to the kids.
Yeah.
It's like, why are you here with kids if you don't like them?
And I could get frustrated with the kids, but sometimes I'm just like, I'm
but
going to the bathroom. Like that's always I'm like, I'm going to the bathroom right now.
That's so
this
funny.
kid's driving me nuts. You have to learn to walk away sometimes and just like reset and go, okay.
We showed the UFC on Sunday, and we had a guy here, a South African guy who's been teaching here for a long time, and he mentioned that he has a code word with his with his Chinese assistant teacher that they use together, and when one of them is about to the other one sees that the other one it's about to pop off, they just go, I think it's coffee time, and then they go down, they have a little Nescafe set up there, and they just go down like a 10-minute in the middle of class, have a little coffee, and they come back and they're like, okay, we're good. I think that teamwork sort of thing is it's huge.
I've got a teacher who really does enjoy the kids. I mean, she's fantastic with them that I'm working with right now. So I lucked out, with this teacher. So
it's important. It's important. Yeah. Because, like I said, I can tell so many bad stories about it. But one of the first schools I taught at, there was this sort of broom closet where they would put the sleeping bags. Yeah. Right. What's happening. What's going on. Right? Yeah. It was that's where they put the sleeping bags because kids go to sleep from 12 to 2, right? But they would, the teachers would tell the kids that the monster lives in there, right?
Yeah.
And then when the kids were bad, they would start to grab them and start to pull them towards. And the kids were like one of those horror movies, no.
Yeah.
And then I would pick up the kid. I'm like, hey, relax. You trying to traumatize this kid? You know, he just doesn't want to eat his second bowl of rice, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's just not hungry. Just relax. He needs to eat it. I'm like, yeah, but you want to, like, scar this kid mentally? Like, just take it easy. He's just a second bowl of rice. He's not hungry. Maybe doesn't like it. There was so many stories like that. It's crazy, man.
I was at a Bushiban one time, and one of the Chinese teachers always had that. You know, remember those? I don't know if they still use them. Maybe they still do. It's a long stick with a pointy leather hand on the end. You know, and they called the kids up and smacked their hand. And I was out with the students one time, and we all had to wait to go into the classroom to do our Christmas show performance so we could practice it. You know. And there was one of those sticks sitting there on the table, and I was just like, the two kids were just kind of playing around, you know, weren't really causing any problems. But I was just like, Jimmy, I pick it up, like, give me your hand. He's like, okay, like reaches his hand. I'm like, give me 5. I was like, I hit his hand, like, and all the other kids like, oh, give me 5. Oh my God, that teacher hated me.
Yeah.
From that moment on,
like, you took our source of power away.
It was like literally didn't use it from then on. I'm like, well, you know.
I remember that thing and the sticky ball, right? It's like sticky ball. I don't know. That was the thing back in the day, the sticky ball games. I don't know if that's still a thing, but it was.
It's got to be. It's the only thing some people know.
Yeah, the sticky ball, man.
The sticky ball.
Yeah, I remember. It's kind of crazy when you teach here for so long, but yeah, I've had some crazy stories. But that broom closet one was pretty bad.
That's pretty bad.
That's pretty bad. Yeah, and some of the kids were just like 3 or 4.
Yeah,
and it's just like, why are you trying to like destroy this kid mentally? He doesn't want his rice.
Then he's gonna be afraid of another closet where their parents are trying to keep blankets. You know,
exactly. He's like, no closet, Daddy, no closet. Yeah.
There was one other Montessori school I worked at. Montessori. I like to use this iMonteSomething.
Air quotes. It's a iMonteSomething.
It's a iMonteSomething.
Yeah.
Actually, my website is iMonteSomething.com.
Okay.
So
check that out.
we'll give you the link again.
Okay.
But one place, like I saw the pictures online. I was like, oh my gosh, this looks like a real Montessori school. I called them up. Did the interview, got hired, and I saw from the pictures what they would do. They would set out a work, bring a child over. Child would do that work, they get a picture. It's like, okay, leave. The child leaves. Next child comes in, they get a picture of that child doing the work.
I'm not gonna lie, that sounds very, very, teaching English in Taiwan.
Yes, yeah,
very much so, man. Because I remember, oh God, there's just so many stories like that kids would just have no chance to play, no fun. I remember when the school was trying to lowball me for my next contract.
Right,
my manager told the owner that the kids didn't like me, blah blah blah, which is impossible. Because every kid, like those kids still come here.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is crazy, right? And
don't show them the closet.
Like so exactly, the closet, right? And so you would have like the school was here, the elementary was here, and there was this like they had to walk past this one coffee shop. So I would go for coffee there once in a while, and every time the kids would walk by, they would go, "Hey, teacher, hey!" Someone would come and sit with me, and they'd chat and stuff like that. And so when I was getting my warning from the owner that I need to follow the manager because kids don't like me, right? All these kids are coming by and like, "Hey, teacher, hey, give me 5. Oh, hey!" And they sit in there, they jump on my lap like, "Hey, who's this guy?" I'm like, "Well, he's my boss, he's the owner, you know." And they're like, "Oh, okay, cool." And they like talk to him in English, and he's like shocked because they're like amazing, right? Yeah. And they're just like this amazing kid, and then he's like, well, yeah. Well, the manager still says that the kids don't like you. I'm like,
here we go.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? And then he's like, your job is quite a popular job. It's easy to replace. There are people lining up for your job. And I had 3 months left on my contract. And I'm like, okay, cool, no problem. So I finished it. I just did my work for 3 months. Yeah. And then, when his time was up, he was trying to lowball me. And I'm like, "Hey, how's it going?" He's like, "Hey, good. You signed for another year?" And I'm like, "No, not this time." He's like, "Well, why not?" I'm like, "Really?"
Yeah.
Like, really? I'm like, no big deal. You got lots of people lining up for this job, so you're good.
Yeah, you told me it's easy to find a replacement.
You'll replace me, easy peasy. Meanwhile, I would take the kids to the park. I was coaching soccer, so I would set up all these sports days and stuff. It did so much, and it was crazy that they're just like, "Well, the manager says you didn't sign the communication books." I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's important."
That's
important.
Amazingly
yeah.
Vital.
Communication books, yeah. So crazy stuff, man. Teaching in Taiwan. If you guys want to come, it's a good time. Check it out for sure.
And if I could just give one piece of advice to anyone who's teaching in Taiwan, if you can, if you get a chance to talk to the parents, They're like, oh yeah, he's been doing a great job. Let me get your line. I'll send you pictures.
Yeah.
Then you get the parents' line. Then you can actually talk to the parents, and
That makes
keep them
sense.
up. And then all of a sudden, you realize, like, if they get rid of you, you're get somebody talking to the parents. So it's just
smart.
like
it's smart. Yeah.
It's a great way to just be like, yep.
Because anytime you change a job, they're like, oh, Ed went back to Canada.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I still live right across the street from the
Still
school.
at my restaurant.
I'm still right here. What are you talking about? It happens so many times. Oh, we thought you moved back to the USA. And I'm like, I've only been to the USA once in my life. Like, what are you talking about? They said you went back. You're like, what? I have like some South African friends that they have to say they're British because they're like, well, South African. No, just say you're British. It's just like,
exactly.
what is going on here? So crazy, dude. Crazy times, man. But do you have anything you want to hit before we call it? I think we're getting close to the limit. We got a little more time. But
you asked if we could talk about this. I'm like, sure.
Let's do it.
We're also opening up a restaurant.
Yes,
in
see,
Taichung.
I'm glad you brought that up. See, I already forgot. My brain is like scrambled eggs, man. So you're opening a restaurant up with one of my best friends, Francis.
Yes.
Chef Francis, right?
He's been on this podcast before.
He has been, yeah. And he actually, the intro that we played today was, he's a good video editor. He made that for me as well. And he's a good friend of mine. Me and him it's weird because we're always like on this parallel of growing, like we're always, one of us is kind of up, one of us is kind of down. So we're waiting on the time when we're both up.
Yes,
so,
exactly.
It's funny. He used to have a restaurant in Benchau called the Rouge.
Yes.
And that was before I opened my stand in Danshue. And so I went and I met him, I ate and I talked to him and he gave me a bunch of advice and I took his advice and I grew the restaurant, built it, blah, blah, blah. And then when, he stopped, he went back to Canada, then he came back and he was going to open a restaurant. He came to me and he asked me for some advice and it was really pretty cool, man. Really cool. Yeah. So tell me about it. Ruben 2.0, let's go.
Yeah. So there was that's how I met Francis, was at his old restaurant was Ruben.
Good chef. Yep.
I was like, where did the name come from? Because it's not spelled like the sandwich. Like,
I always spell it wrong.
He said it is kind of French Canadian accent, which is cool. Yeah, but he's like, we're gonna
GSP accent. GSP.
Yeah,
I'm not impressed by your performance. Yeah. You think I'm afraid of you, man? Are you crazy in your head, man? Yeah. GSP.
I hope he's watching right now.
Oh, for sure, we love him. GSP, baby.
Yeah. But he said he was gonna call it Urban Grill, but it just didn't really. It sounded that great. But all I did was switch the U and the R, and so it's like Ruben.
Ruben
like,
Grill.
The more they said it, it was just like, that's what it should be. So he opened that restaurant in Shinju back in 2019, which, as you know, was a fantastic time to open a restaurant.
Yeah. And it's crazy because we went out there a few times. It was delicious, good food. He's one of my like secret. I have a couple secret go-to guys for like craft beer, and a couple secret go-to guys when I need, a new sauce or I need something.
Not a secret anymore.
Not a secret anymore. He's the man. So he's I had him. He's my guy. Whenever I need, how do I keep, macaroni from drying up, macaroni and cheese from drying up. He's just like, oh, this is what he'll give me the speech. I'm like, all right, perfect.
Exactly.
Thanks, chef. And he's one of those guys where you have to call him chef in the kitchen, or he's just like, no, I'm the chef. You're the owner. I'm the chef. Like, okay.
Well, the funny thing is, like, there was one time he went back to, like, he was back in the back, and my food came out at Ruben's, and the burger bun was just burnt.
Okay.
And it was two new people on the floor. Like it was literally their first week, I think. And so they just brought us, my friend, my food, and we were like, I just looked at it, I was like, can you go get Francis? And they're like, okay. So they go back.
They said
like,
okay. They should have just changed it.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
I mean, it was literally their first week, I think.
Okay.
But
he seems like a nice guy.
But they go back and he comes out and he looks and he's like, what the? I'm not going to say it here. He's censored by YouTube. He's like, give me that. He goes upstairs. He told me he goes upstairs. He goes to the kitchen.
He throws it.
He puts the plates down. He's like, I want you guys to eat that. And they're like, no, we don't want to eat it. It's like, if you're not going to eat it, why would you serve it? So he's like, you're eating it and you're paying for it. So let's make a new one. And,
Francis he's awesome, man.
Yeah.
He's been all over the place doing his things, man, all over the world doing crazy stuff with food. So I'm glad he's got a chance to open up again, and now things are kind of swinging back up. And it's cool for you to jump in on that. Yeah,
we're still looking for the perfect spot. We have one in mind. We have actually two in mind now after today. So hopefully one of them will work out. But just negotiating with the rent and the agents are
it's important,
agents
man.
are nightmares sometimes.
They are. Agents are. Rent is, and actually, if you can have like a decent landlord, that's gold. Yeah. Because I've had some decent ones, and I've had some
crazy ones. Yeah.
The one when we used to have a restaurant in Danshue, the landlord just lived on the same building, but kind of on the back side, just like two sides like this. We were here, and then you go around, and that's where they were. So the back would touch each other, and every time we'd go to pay rent, she sold jewelry. She had like a jewelry store on the first floor. And she would just always tell us how it's so easy for us to run a restaurant and how difficult it is to do jewelry. And I'm like, are you making the jewelry? Wow. And she's just like, no.
Just selling
it. You're just sitting there, an ass selling jewelry.
Waiting for someone to come in.
Yeah, waiting for someone to come in. And you just keep telling me how easy restaurants are. And she would always tell us, every time we'd go in, Yeah, it was Danshui, so there wasn't that many foreigners there back then. And every time I'd go in to pay the rent, I'm like the token white guy, you know, like, hey, you know, hey, oh, people were there drinking tea. They're like, hey, come here, sit down, have a tea with the white guy. And it's my landlord, right? So I'm not going to be like, no.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there like drinking tea, and they're like, oh, yeah, we got this new jade and stuff. And I'm like, sitting there like, what the fuck am I doing here? You know, like, what is this? Why do I have to be the token white guy? You're going to give me a discount? And she'd be like, what?
Well, yeah,
Why would I do that? Yeah.
I was at a Christmas party one year, only white, only foreign person there. You know? And one lady wanted me to get up and sing songs with everybody, and I'm like, no.
Sing Lionel Richie.
She's like, sing, get up and sing Baby Shark with everybody. I'm like,
yeah.
No. Like, I'm not, like, no one else got up and sang their kids' songs. I'm not getting up and singing my kids' songs.
I would be like, well, how much? How much?
Yeah, how much you
I'll
get
do
it?
it. How much? What do we? 10 grand? I'll do it for 10 grand.
Sure.
Let's go. Yeah. But it's always like, no, you're the token white guy, and I'm Mexican.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
And I'm supposed to be a white guy, but I'm apparently in Taiwan just a token white guy, man. Which worked, in my favor many times when I was working in, when I moved to Danshui, I was coaching soccer, so I moved out there and I was on the MRT, passed by this school, I saw the sign, wrote the number down, and then when I got home, I called them and they're like, hey, my name's Ed, I'm an English teacher, I'm moving out to the area, I don't know if you guys need teachers, and they're like, yeah, we definitely need teachers, there's not many foreigners in the area. The English wasn't that smooth, but I'm like, yeah, cool. Yeah, so what's the deal? And she's like, okay, so we pay $500 an hour, come in, blah blah blah, and I said, well, I'm coming in from Taipei, and my current school pays me $7.
Right.
And they're just like, okay, well, just come in. We'll figure it out. I'm like, okay. So I go in, walk in the door. They look at me, have my resume and stuff. And they're just like, okay, tomorrow 8:30, come back. And like, you want to see my resume? They're like, no, that's fine. Okay. So I go in, and they're just like, boom, 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 here you go.
Yeah.
And they're just like, yeah, you're hired. No problem. Like, I am good with kids.
Right.
I could be some pedophile nut job, but you don't care. Like,
exactly.
But I'm great with kids, so you guys are lucking out, but it's all good. And she's like, yeah, whatever. And then I remember I had my class by the office, and I was, teaching kindergarten, and this one Taiwanese dude comes in with like this wad of bluebells, and he's just like looking around, and the PA says, like, all right, Ed, can you come down to the office, please? And I come out, and then I'm like, hey, what's going on, my man? How you doing? Good. And then he just looks at me, where are you from? I'm like, oh, from Canada. He's just like, just pays the tuition in cash right there. Bang, 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 bang. Pays like 80 grand or 100 grand in cash. Yeah. Like right there. Okay, go back to work. All right, see you later.
See you, bye.
Yeah, it was crazy, man. It's crazy, for sure. But yeah, I definitely took advantage of getting easy jobs like that. Yeah.
Exactly. We are, I'll also mention this, we are going to, we have no set plans yet. We haven't even discussed what's going to be, but it'll be sometime this year. A group of us are going to be doing Montessori workshops all throughout Taiwan.
Okay.
So I'll give you a link to my Facebook page.
I'll put it below there, yeah.
But I think I have to think of the name of the Facebook page. I haven't used it in a while, but I'm going to start using it. I think I have a Facebook page called something like Montessori Workshops.
Okay.
Yeah, Montessori Workshops in Taiwan.
Okay.
So if you look that up, on Facebook, I think it'll pop up. I'll make sure the name's right. I'll get it for you for the link.
Sounds good. Sounds good, man. Appreciate it, man.
All right.
We're probably good now, but do you have anything you want to say? We will get the links for the descriptions for Ruban, for the Montessori, all that stuff.
Okay.
Give them to me, and I'll put them in the description
Sounds
below.
good.
What are you guys going to have on the menu?
We're definitely doing his Cubano.
Okay,
his Cubano is really
Cubano.
popular.
Yep.
He's talking about doing we'll do Cubano burgers, things like that.
His burgers are good.
His burgers are good. His chicken tenders are amazing.
Chicken tenders are good. Yeah.
He also wants to do like beef Wellington.
Okay.
And things like
fancy.
Filet mignon and stuff like that. So
fancy.
I'm like, you're running the kitchen. If you think you can do it,
I think you can do it as a one-man show. Take it easy. Get the burgers and fries first. Get those up the door. Burgers, fries, and beers. Maybe some tacos or something on the side. You're good to go. Yeah.
Exactly. So.
Is there any like good taco places out there in Taichung? Anything for tacos that you know of? I mean, you're a Taichung guy. So.
Yeah, I know. Places do tacos.
Okay.
No. Let me see.
They do exist.
Wait, I got it. And I forgot about this because a while ago they posted they were closing, but they were actually moving. So it's like I've been taken off my radar. I haven't been back since they moved. There's a place. It used to be called 502 Antigua. I don't know if it's just called Antigua now.
Heard of it. I've heard of it. Yeah.
They're from Guatemala. A bunch of brothers from Guatemala.
I've heard of it.
And they do these they're pretty small tacos, but it's a couple of them. It's just enough to
street style. Yeah.
And those are
they're good.
If you go to Taichung, go there. Yeah.
That's what's up. Okay, Antigua. I've actually heard a lot about it. I don't go out to Taichung that much, but and I know we've been doing this restaurant for like 20 years, so I do want to try other people's tacos, but sometimes when I go out, I'm like, I want anything but tacos.
Yes,
I basically have that every day. So yeah.
And your hours are the same as everyone else's.
Yeah, and when I try to go out, forget about it, right? Yeah, trying to get a seat somewhere, like forget it, man. Beautiful, man. Thank you guys for watching the podcast. If you guys are curious, I will give you all the info for the Montessori man, the